The African savanna stretched endlessly under the burning sun. Golden grass swayed with the wind and the earth cracked from months without rain. In the distance, a herd of elephants marched slowly, their silhouettes rising like ancient guardians against the horizon. At the center of the herd walked an old elephant. His skin was marked with deep wrinkles, his tusks chipped from years of struggle, and his steps heavy with age. Yet his eyes were sharp, glowing with wisdom earned through countless seasons of hardship. For decades, he had guided his family across plains and rivers, through storms and droughts. To the younger elephants, he was more than a leader. He was the living memory of their survival. One afternoon, as the herd moved toward a dried riverbed, a sudden cry split the air. A young elephant had fallen into a tangled snare of roots and branches, his legs pinned beneath twisted wood. He thrashed in panic, trumpeting for help. The herd gathered around, trumpeting back in distress, but none knew how to free him. The old elephant stepped forward, slowly, calmly. His trunk reached out, brushing the young one's dusty cheek as if to whisper, "Do not fear. I am here." He pressed his weight against the roots. Nothing moved. Again, he leaned, his massive body trembling with effort. Younger elephants pushed too, but their movements were wild, unfocused. Only the old one understood where the roots were weakest. He shifted his angle, pressed again, and cracks echoed across the dry earth. Minute by minute, the struggle dragged on. Dust rose in clouds. The young elephant cried, his strength fading. Then with one final push, the roots split open. The youngster stumbled free, collapsing into the circle of the herd. Trumpets of relief shook the air. Mothers brushed him gently with their trunks. Calves pressed close to reassure him. The old elephant did not celebrate. He simply stood there, his chest rising and falling, his eyes calm. He knew his role was not to seek glory, but to protect life silently. That night, as the herd rested under the moonlight, the old elephant remained awake. He stared into the horizon, where shadows of danger always lurked. He knew this was only the beginning. Ahead lay thirst, predators, and trials that would demand not only strength but unity. And so at dawn, as the sun painted the sky in fire and gold, the old elephant took the first step forward once more. His slow march carried a promise. "As long as I breathe, I will guide you." This was not the end. It was only the beginning of a greater journey. Night slowly descended upon the savanna. The sky, once painted in shades of orange, faded into gray and then into deep black, scattered with glittering stars. A crescent moon cast its pale light over the dry, dusty earth. The herd of elephants rested, their massive bodies gathered close together for warmth and safety. The calves nestled beside their mothers, seeking comfort after the long journey. But the peace of the night did not last. The wind carried a faint scent, flesh, danger, hunger. The old elephant, leader of the herd, raised his trunk high. With one deep breath, he knew predators were near. From behind the tall grass, pairs of glowing eyes reflected the moonlight. A lion, followed by several lionesses, crept silently, shadows blending with the dark. They had been tracking the herd since dusk. The younger elephants grew restless. They stomped the ground, their low rumbles filled with unease. The old elephant stepped forward. His body was worn, his pace slow, but his presence radiated authority. A deep, resonant call thundered from his chest, a warning to the herd, "Stay alert." The tension broke when a lioness suddenly leapt forward, aiming for a calf lingering near the edge of the circle. A sharp, terrified cry pierced the night, sending waves of panic through the herd. The mother rushed to defend, but the predator was already too close. The old elephant did not hesitate. He surged forward, trunk raised high. With a deafening trumpet, he blocked the lioness. The sound shook the air, echoing across the plains, startling the lions for a brief moment. Yet hunger made them bold. More lions advanced, attempting to surround the herd. The clash was fierce. The old elephant stomped the earth with crushing force, vibrations rippling through the ground. He swung his trunk with powerful strikes, flinging a lioness to the dirt. The mothers quickly formed a shield wall, their calves tucked safely in the center. The younger elephants pressed close, trumpeting loudly, their defiance echoing through the savanna. Minutes of chaos passed. The lions tested their courage, lunging forward, only to be met by an impenetrable line of giants. No opening could be found. At last, one by one, the predators retreated, defeated not by strength alone, but by unity. Silence returned. The calf that nearly fell clung tightly to its mother, trembling still. The old elephant stood tall, chest heaving, breath ragged, but his eyes remained sharp. He knew the lions were only one trial among many yet to come. Dawn rose in hues of crimson and gold. In the distance, a shimmering surface reflected the sunlight. It was a river, the water they had been searching for. Excitement rippled through the herd. Their trumpets filled the air with joy. Steps quickened as hope surged within them. Yet the river held danger of its own. Its currents were strong, muddy, and unpredictable. Along the banks, crocodiles lay half-submerged, their cold eyes fixed on the approaching herd. The elephants halted, hesitation spreading like wildfire. Again, the old elephant took the first step. He knew that if he faltered, so would they all. Slowly, he waded into the rushing water. Waves crashed against his legs, the current tugging hard, yet he stood firm, unyielding. One by one, the herd followed. The water deepened, rising to their chests. Suddenly, a massive crocodile lunged, jaws gaping wide, aiming for a young elephant. The old one spun around, slamming his trunk against the water with explosive force. The splash stunned the predator, and with a heavy side kick, he drove it back beneath the surface. Through sheer struggle, the herd crossed to the other side. The calves trumpeted in triumph, splashing playfully on the muddy bank. The mothers surrounded them with relief and tenderness. The old elephant emerged last. His body trembled, his breaths heavy, but his gaze carried quiet pride. Before him, the herd stood alive, safe and united. He knew his time was nearing its end. Yet he also knew he had given them something greater than his strength, a legacy of courage, sacrifice, and love that would endure within the herd long after his own footsteps faded from the earth. Days passed after the herd had successfully crossed the raging river. They now walked across greener savannas where tall grass swayed in the wind and trees appeared in the distance. It felt as if a new life was waiting for them. Yet the journey was still full of trials. The old elephant grew weaker. His steps were slower, his breaths heavier. Every time the herd paused, others would look at him, silently asking if he could still carry on. With eyes filled with determination, the elder would always nod. He knew his duty was not yet complete, to guide the herd until they truly found a safe haven. One evening, as the sun sank in the west, the herd rested in a valley covered with shadows of tall trees. The place seemed peaceful, but the old elephant sensed something different. His instincts sharpened, danger was near. From behind the bushes, a group of hunters appeared, carrying spears and torches. Fear swept across the herd. Calves cried, mothers shielded them, and panic spread. The old elephant stepped forward once more, standing tall despite his frail body. With a mighty trumpet through his trunk, he signaled the herd to retreat and find a way out. The younger elephants formed a circle around the calves, while others braced themselves against the threat. Rocks and fire flew, but the herd did not falter. They had learned unity is strength. The elder, though injured, charged at the hunters with all his remaining might, scattering them in fear. Just then, a calf was nearly trapped by the ring of fire. With the last of his strength, the old elephant reached out with his trunk, pulling the calf to safety. At last, as night swallowed the sky, the hunters fled, defeated by the herd's courage. They gained nothing while the elephants stood together, wounded but unbroken. Yet the struggle had taken its toll. The old elephant staggered, standing at the edge of the herd, gazing at them one last time. In his deep eyes lay an unspoken message that he'd protect each other. Never give up. By morning, the elder did not rise again. His body lay peacefully under the golden light of dawn, as though surrendering himself to the earth he had defended all his life. The herd gathered around in silence, their presence a solemn tribute. The calves approached, touching his body gently with their small trunks. There were no cries, for they knew his spirit remained. Though his body had fallen, his legacy lived on, in their courage, in their unity, in their hope. The herd moved forward once more, now led by the younger elephants who had learned from him. With strength born of his sacrifice, they ventured into the forest ahead, towards a future he had always dreamed for them. In the distance, the sun shone brighter, as if nature itself blessed their path. The legacy of the old elephant lived forever, not only within his herd, but in the truth that love and sacrifice can overcome any challenge.